Hey everyone, we're here with Michael Lafido. Michael's a top producing broker in the Chicago area, the founder of the Marketing Luxury Group, which is a coaching agency, consultancy, and helps agents and homeowners sell luxury homes. He's also created a nationally recognized luxury certification for real estate agents known as the Luxury Listing Specialist Certification, or LUX, which I think looks awesome after an email signature. So kudos to that. He's also been featured in Crane's Chicago Business, on Fox News, and a whole bunch of other news sources as a real estate expert in luxury marketing. So Michael, one more thing too is he's written a book called Luxury Listing Specialist, Dominate Luxury Listings in Your Market, which is great. We recommend it. Amazon, all that, links will be below. Michael, how you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had a little bit of technical difficulties, and we have, by the way, there's a 60-story skyscraper being built about 100 feet from us right now. So if you hear any clanging noises, don't be alarmed. It's progress.
It's progress. There you go.
Yeah. So cool. So I guess why don't we just kind of get right into it?
Sure.
I think one of the biggest questions that I get, and I'm sure coaches and managing brokers get, is how to agents to start out. They're doing pretty good. They start going into sort of mid-range listings. They see some success, and then they see other agents in the firm or down the block or whatever who are getting these $10 million listings, and it seems like magic, So just if you could just talk a little bit about how agents can make that transition.
Sure.
And maybe we can go into also a little later into some common misconceptions.
Yeah.
Marketing, and we'll get there. But so what do you think is the best way for agents to make that transition? What are sort of the first steps?
Yeah. So thanks again. That's a great question. I get that question asked quite often, and unfortunately, there's a lot of stumbling blocks that agents put in front of themselves. I call them limiting beliefs. So this is a people-based business, right? And people don't care how much I know until they know I care. And so it is a relationship business. And so, if agents are putting themselves out there, they're likable, they're building their sphere, their database, they're positioning themselves as an expert. And how do you position yourself as an expert is you provide great content, information to your given marketplace. So, tips for buyers, tips for sellers, maybe market updates, that sort of thing. It's really important. And we're in a Google world where people can Google you and check you up on Facebook, LinkedIn, et cetera. And, are you putting great information out there, or do you have images and your brand doesn't match your message? So it's really important from a foundational standpoint that agents, are thinking ahead of time. But you referenced, hey, if somebody's a really successful agent, but they're maybe selling more entry level, how do they get to that multi-million dollar, or in some markets, let me start there. I define high-end homes as 2 times whatever the average sale price is for that given market. Right. And I define luxury as 3 times whatever the average sale price is for that market. So, if Rochester, New York, the average sale price is $300,000, well, high-end would be 600 and above, and luxury would be 300 and above. So I think it's important for those that are watching this video or reading this that they realize it's all relative given to your market. So you don't have to have a McMansion in your market, but based on that terminology of 3 times is luxury. How do you break into that? So that's a very complicated question, and there's a lot of different answers. But I'm going to give you one that's a big, golden nugget, and it's like Robert De Niro and Meet the Parents. If you remember, he talked about the circle of trust. It was very difficult, right, to penetrate the circle of trust. And so in that movie, Ben Stiller was, the soon-to-be son-in-law, but getting back to luxury real estate, it's difficult to penetrate the circle of trust because when you're dealing with high net worth individuals, many times they have their guard up because they've been taken advantage of, or people have tried to take advantage of them. Everything from, the landscaper to the painter to someone that works on their house to whoever it might be. They might add an extra 0 at the end because they live in that gated community. So it's difficult to penetrate that circle of trust. And so one of the ways I recommend to agents to penetrate that is indirect ways. So indirect ways would be who the influencers are, who are the people in their circle of trust, who are their close confidants. So, so I recommend to real estate agents that are trying to break into and sell high-end homes in a given market is you start basically what's called a luxury networking group. And you basically meet once a month, and you have influencers that cater to high net worth individuals, business owners, that sort of thing. And the best way to get referrals is give referrals. And so if a real estate agent in Rochester, New York started a luxury networking group, and he had the local, luxury cars, it was called Bentley or Lamborghini guy, and he had a men's clothing line, and he had a couple different attorneys, a estate planner, a divorce attorney. It's non-competing. First off, I say this is not Noah's Ark. You're not getting two of a kind. So the host is the only real estate agent, unless you don't do commercial, and there's a commercial real estate agent that caters to high net worth individuals. So you have non-competing businesses that cater, and their ideal client is a luxury client. And you bring value to those businesses. You refer people to those business. And when you show up with your book, or, I have a video book that maybe I shared with you, I have for real estate agents. I do a lot of these luxury videos where, you do actors and drones and that sort of thing. And when I show up to a networking meeting, I have the video book. I'm in a show and tell business. I don't just tell them, hey, yeah, we showcase properties with amazing photos and drones, and we bring in cars. I actually bring this and I'll show them an example. So now they're like, wow, that guy's different. So when they go back to their database and their sphere, and you overhear someone talking, I want to sometimes be the second opinion. So, hey, maybe someone, they're sick and tired of being on the market with a traditional agent, or not getting the results, or they keep getting the excuse, lower the price. We give free second opinions, no different than financial advisors, or, you break your leg and you want to get a second opinion from a doctor. So I recommend to agents that you position yourself with individuals that cater to high net worth individuals, but positioning yourself with the luxury networking group is one thing, but you got to bring content and education to those marketplaces. You got to know your numbers, okay? And you have to break in with those high net worth individuals. But most individuals, unfortunately, most real estate agents, they have limiting beliefs or excuses that are keeping them. So some of those excuses might be, I have to be licensed X amount of years before I can sell luxury homes. Yeah. I have to be with a certain big name brand, or maybe you're with a big name, you got to be with a certain boutique in your area. You have to be, rich yourself, or drive a certain car, or live in a certain community. These are a false. Stop telling yourself that, because it's holding you back. So you really have to know what makes you different, or your office different, because you might be going up against Jenny Rockstar from this other firm, and you have to bring more value to the table. But again, nobody cares how much you know until they know you care. So build rapport. I recommend, if an agent has an appointment with a high net worth individual, or anybody for that matter, you do your research on that person. I call it the reverse social media scrub. Do you guys have similar connections? Do you know what I call it affinities? You have some kind of affinity. You ride a Harley, they ride a Harley. You went to, Harvard, they went to Harvard. Whatever it might be, try to figure out some common ground, and that's how you build affinity. Because I know for a fact that many real estate agents have lost opportunities to work with high net worth individual to another agent that they could outmarket. They would do a better job, but they missed that valuable step. They weren't likable, or they missed that common ground of building affinity. And I'm a big personality profile guy as well. DISC I use, there's Myers-Briggs, Cole. You need to communicate with others the way they want to be communicated with. And so understanding personality types. If you're a driver, like I'm a bottom line guy, don't pull out that PowerPoint and go through your 100 slides, because you've lost me. So you need to present to somebody the way they want to be presented to. And they're not going to come out and tell you, I'm a S, or I'm a C, or I'm this kind of personality. You have to pick up on these cues.
Yeah, that's tough to do sometimes. And I'll just say too, I won't name any names, but especially here in Manhattan, you would be absolutely shocked at some of the marketing techniques that, people that are selling, 7-8 figure listings, I'm talking, not even, blurry pictures, like, bad videos, and it's really,
Yeah.
really unbelievable. And I think, a lot of people have a misconception that, even, people who are selling or buying luxury homes have a misconception that, okay, they just need to have a network. They just need to be at Sotheby's or, or Corcoran or a high-end firm here in Manhattan.
Right.
But at the end of the day, the marketing is something that's, that's totally crucial. That a lot of these old school agents, and God bless them, they do amazingly well. They seem to almost have a disdain for it. They're like, oh, we're not going to do drones. We're not going to create a, experiential marketing. We're not going to do this. We're not going to go to the media. They say, well, we have this old school network of rich people, and that's that. And I think that's something that is a huge mistake today. So
it's a huge mistake today.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of dinosaurs in this industry, and by dinosaurs, I'm not saying age. I'm talking about they're stuck in their ways, right? And Blockbuster went out of business for a reason. They didn't adapt. Kodak missed the ball. And so many people think real estate agents are, one disruptor away. That's you and I met, a few months back. We were at Inman, New York, and we went out to dinner, and that was a key buzzword at Inman is disruptors. And there's so many traditional agents that they're reactive. They're not proactive. They're inside the box. I believe there is no box. And the problem is most agents don't position these high-end and luxury homes. They don't optimize them, and they don't position them correctly. So you referenced one thing I want to touch upon. I have a client, a consulting client I'm doing some consulting with, and they have an $18 million property, and it's on a TV show. It's got, and the agent that's representing the seller, it's got this really thin one-page flyer. I mean, it's really thin. And don't get me wrong, the flyer doesn't sell the home, but it's more than that. The photos, the description, the video, it's a total package. How are you packaging up this product, if you will? And so that's a problem with this industry. And there's a lot of real estate boards and MLSs that are run by some of these dinosaurs.
Sure. So as far as marketing a luxury home, I mean, are there any, we talked a little bit about, sort of the old guard and not really paying attention to new, developments in marketing and new technology, or even really the internet itself. I mean, again, it's, oh, I have a phone call. I'm going to call this guy in London who knows, this billionaire, et cetera. Just super quickly, what are some differences, just, sort of 30,000 foot view of marketing a luxury home versus marketing just the sort of mid-range, 3-bedroom, 2-bath?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's several things. First off, the agent representing the seller, representing the home, it's like a product launch, just like Steve Jobs that he perfected at Apple. And so you got to do the research on the property, on the architect, the story of the home. You have to create a story. Okay? People buy on emotion, and they justify on logic. You have to build the story around the property, the location, the town, the history of the property, the materials of the property. And 98% of agents miss the mark on that. They really do. So all your research before you go on the market, you got to do the research of who your potential buyer is. I use the old adage, who's the avatar? Or, the Bitmoji of who's the potential buyer, okay? And then you have to create a marketing plan to cater to the majority, okay? You can't be all things to all people, but based on who you think the buyer is, you want to cater the marketing towards that buyer. If it's a young family with kids, then through your marketing efforts, are you painting that story, that picture, so that young family that has kids can picture themselves utilizing the pool and the trampoline and the parks or the schools. And so figuring out who your buyer is, catering your marketing to them. Are there migration patterns? Are there certain corporations or buyers are coming in, there's snowbirds or wherever it might be, and then cater to those markets. You can cater through them through demographics. I can cater to potential buyers right now in Bradenton, Florida that are looking to move to Chicago through Facebook, right? And there's different things you can do. So your ad here in Chicago is actually showing up on their computer there. And so figuring out that sort of thing is going to be really important. And then how are you going to position the property? And that is where most agents fail miserably. And I say position, it's not just photos, it's not just description, it's not just video. I've developed what I call 21 profit activators, that if an agent passes at basically green light, yellow light, red light, if they pass each of those areas, the probability of them selling that luxury property skyrockets. And I will tell you, no matter what marketplace somebody is in, at some price point, the shift occurs from a seller's market to a buyer's market. And when you get to a buyer's market, either a lot of inventory and it's not moving, or not a lot, or maybe there isn't a lot of inventory, but the inventory that's out there is stale, it's not moving. Days on the market increase. The sale prices are substantially lower than the asking price. Sometimes years on the market. Every marketplace, that shift occurs from a seller's market, multiple offers, days on the market are low, to a buyer's market. And any homeowner that has one of those difficult properties, they need to hire not a traditional Tim or traditional Tammy. They need to hire a marketer, someone that thinks outside the box, is aggressive. So before even the marketing begins, you have to do all of this research. And you have to prepare like a product launch.
Sure. That's actually really, really good advice. And I think, just sort of anecdotally looking around, especially in Los Angeles, I'm noticing a lot more. A lot of agents, a lot of brokerages are doing these videos that are like narrative. They're making little mini movies about these. They're building a mystique. They're creating a brand, essentially.
Sure.
And I think that's really important because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I my understanding, just again from working in Manhattan, is that you can price a mid-range home based on a formula pretty much. You say, okay, it's got X amount of square footage, X bedrooms, X bathrooms, this neighborhood, price per square foot, done. But once you get up to the 2, 3, 4, 5 million, it's like the difference between 10 million and 30 million or 30 million and 60 million is like it's like immaterial. It's like just on a whim. So I think that's a super important point in that, probably the only thing there, or one of the major things there that will get you that higher price point, or, the decision-making process that people go through is the brand. It's, this was owned by, the ex-CEO of ExxonMobil or whatever, it's, this has been in the Rockefeller family as a retreat, sure, whatever. Something like that.
But telling the story and the marketing and the packaging, that's important, but pricing is a science in itself. Because these unique properties and high-end and luxury, they're no two alike, right? Everyone, the mold was broken, right? So unless you're in a cookie-cutter neighborhood, but on these unique properties, that is a science in itself. How do you price the property? Because you can have the best videos in the world, the best marketing, even amazing exposure. I mean, if you think of the greatest athlete of all time in our era, people say, maybe some people say Muhammad Ali, but the other one might be Michael Jordan. Oh, Michael Jordan's home has been on the market for 7 years, still is, in Highland Park, Illinois.
Wow.
Okay? You would have thought some billionaire would have purchased it just for the ego purpose. You got an NBA regulation basketball hoop attached to the home, and still hasn't sold. So, there's a lot. It's not a one size fits all. You got to look at every property unique, from the preparation to the marketing to the exposure to the story, and pricing is a key factor in that as well.
Yeah, and I assume that's something that's going to be difficult to do, and then if you're taking a course and sort of going through the process there, it's going to become a little bit easier, and probably something we don't really have time to get into today.
No. But yeah, there's definitely a void in the industry. There's a void in the luxury space. And so that's where, we're bringing value through our trainings, our seminars, our podcasts. We do a free podcast where we interview rock star agents. It's, it's on iTunes and Stitcher. It's just Luxury Listing Specialists. The same as the book that you have. We kept it consistent. And
that in the description, definitely.
It's definitely not easy, and so the other part of the problem so two things that we really try to help agents do. We help agents secure their first trophy listings,
Sure.
or if they have that difficult one and it's not selling, we help them get it sold. So besides the certification, so I just helped the co-founder of a company called eXp Realty secure a $6.5 million listing in Scottsdale. And so he hired me before his appointment. We coached him up, and he brought my book, and I sent him the same video book I held up. He brought this on the listing appointment, and he got the listing. But more importantly, we're coaching him up now that he got the listing on how to go to market. So it's been over 60 days before it's not even on the multiple listing service as we speak today.
Sure.
Because we have one time to make a first impression, and he's the fourth agent. So if we keep doing the same things everybody else is doing, Albert Einstein says that's insanity, right? So that's the problem with our industry, is there's too many traditional agents doing the same thing as everybody else. And these $1 million agent shows aren't helping because they make it look easy, or multiple bids, or they come across as rude, or whatever it might be. Not all of them, but you know what I mean.
Sure, absolutely. And then, so I think this is a good time to just to wrap up a little bit. And as far as marketing goes, there's a lot of people are very hooked on technology. Obviously, drone photography, and I think has become almost a fad, and it's great, and it works well for certain properties, but not others. And high-end video and all that. But you in your book, you're talking a lot about lifestyle marketing and event marketing, like experiential marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think experiential marketing in particular is almost like how you were talking about starting, just getting the foot in the door in the business and building networks, reaching out to those networks regularly with a good CRM,
right.
In face-to-face conversation. So what, just super briefly, what is lifestyle marketing?
Sure. So lifestyle marketing, the simple answer is basically when real estate related, we're talking lifestyle marketing. When you're talking about lifestyle marketing with real estate, you're not just selling a brick and mortar property. You're not just selling a plot of land with a stone house on it. You are selling everything that comes with it, the amenities of the home, the lifestyle of the property, the setting, the location, the area amenities, what it backs up to, what it overlooks, everything. So you got to you got to hit those emotional buttons, those hot buttons, as I mentioned to you. People buy on emotion and they justify in logic. When you go looking in for cars and you're looking at exotic cars, they want to get you in a test drive so much. They do everything to get you in that car because they know that experience. When you sit and you smell that leather versus look at it in the brochure, there's a big difference. So touching on those emotional cues in the various senses. So lifestyle marketing brings that to life. It puts it front and center because you have left brain, right brain people, right? Left brain are your analytical, linear thinkers, and right brain buy on emotion. And so the lifestyle marketing taps on both of those features. I could have the best copywriter. You could write the copy for all my properties. It means jack, it means zilch, unless you position the home through amazing photos and videos and the positioning, not just great photos. It's knowing what the best features of each of the rooms are and what the focal points are. That is a science in itself. And so all of this, none of it works all the time, but all of it works the majority of the time. And so it all kind of comes together. So you have to be really good at all of these. You don't have to be the best at all of them, but you got to be really good at all of them. One of the best Major League Baseball pitchers of all time, Greg Maddux, I was I'm a Chicago Cubs fan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He didn't have the best fastball, the best off speed, the best curveball, but best mechanic. But you put it all together, and he was one of the best of all time. So many agents have analysis by paralysis, and they're overwhelmed. They don't know where to begin because there's so many social media sites they need to belong to. And I tell agents all the time, keep it simple. Know what your strengths are, SWOT analysis. Know what your individual strengths are as an agent and your personality. Know what your weaknesses are. Know what opportunities are. And know what your competition's doing. And that's really, my main, big takeaway for agents. But the lifestyle marketing, getting back to your original question, is everything I mentioned. Everything from the overall experience, the look and feel, to the property, to what will everyday life look like for them when they have the rat race and they come home and they put their feet up at night? What are they looking forward to at this property? And it's an agent's job to know what the majority of buyers are looking for today based on market research and really accentuate those best features of the lifestyle.
That's great. One more quick thing. I know that, my sort of take on getting into the luxury market for new agents, people who have a little bit of experience, they know what they're doing, they know the business. Pitching is you're pitching somebody who's super wealthy, you're pitching somebody who's working class, middle class. It's roughly comparable. It's not a different industry altogether. But a lot of people suggest that a brand new, someone just out of school, join a luxury real estate team as a junior agent. And I even know a couple of agents that I've worked with and talked to in the city that, even if they're relatively experienced, they're like, look, I'm thinking about joining this team. I'm going to get a low split. I'm going to get 25%, whatever. I'm not going to do well financially, but I'm going to get kick in the door, and then sort of build up that way. Do you think that's a good way to get started as well, or?
Absolutely, I do.
Yeah.
I mean, if Barbara Corcoran, when I got started, said, Mike, I'll let you learn from me, I probably would have paid for that experience, let alone do it for free. So absolutely. So hire a master that knows what they're doing, be like a sponge, absorb, learn, and then once you build when you build your knowledge, your confidence grows. So when an agent understands the local market and what Johnny Rockstar is doing, their confidence will grow. If their confidence grows, they might be able to break off on their own or just be able to sustain their own business without this other person feeding them.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, awesome. So Michael, this was really super informative. And we're going to put the links. You have so much stuff going on that we're going to need like a longer column there. We're going to put links to everything you got going on down here in the description as well as in the article. So anything you're excited about coming up in 2018 in real estate? Any new trends or something? Just
that's a good question. I'm a big blocking and tackling guy, right? Football comes down to, blocking and tackling the fundamentals. A lot of people are on these 3D, not necessarily virtual reality, but, Matterport is, to me, it's really about some of the fundamentals, understanding your numbers, knowing what the unique aspects of the property is, and then getting it out there to the right potential buyers. And so I'm excited. I have some conferences coming up. I host these trainings. We just had one recently where we had agents from 8 states represented. So, I love helping agents break down those barriers. I want to leave you with 3 quick stories. The first story is a gal that's from Dallas. She sat through my training. She's probably 60 years old, a veteran agent, never had listed anything above 550 in her marketplace. Within 60 days of my training, she went on a $5.3 million listing appointment. Her name is Joan Blinn from Keller Williams. Joan said, Mike, I would have never gone on $1 million listing appointment before your class, let alone 5.3. So those are the things I'm excited about. I did a training recently where we had a bus take the class over to an $11 million mansion, and I encouraged agents to do their Facebook Live videos from there. About half the class had never done a Facebook Live at a high-end property, and so we encouraged them to do that, and everybody did, including a 70-year-old agent. And she's like, oh my God. She said, I did 5 of them, but the last one was good. I said, well, you don't realize all 5 were live, but the last one that was good, when you posted it, it will be up there forever. So like teaching her, but she stepped out of her comfort zone. So I'll leave you with those, but that's something that I always encourage agents to step out your comfort zone, because that's where the magic happens. And like the sign behind me says, you got to prove them wrong. Someone once told you couldn't do it. You got to be with a certain brand. You're a female. You can't do this, or you got to be licensed X amount of years, or you can't do that at this. I love proving people wrong, and I hope those that are watching or listening or reading this feel the same way.
Awesome. Michael, thanks so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you.